Okay, I've got a question. What do a chance encounter, a sewing hobby, and Silent Night by Candlelight have in common?
Well, somehow, believe it or not, they are all key plot points in the new Hallmark Countdown to Christmas movie. We met in December, and we have a lot to talk about, Josh.
We do, Jennifer, and we will unwrap it all for you on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
Well, Countdown to Christmas rolls on, and we are getting some of the most anticipated movies of the Christmas season, Jennifer.
The movies that come out in and around Thanksgiving, it's kind of like our Super Bowl. The week after Thanksgiving is always just madly packed with coverage, and we are here for you. And also, if you're just now jumping into Christmas movies like a normal person, we've got you covered. We've been talking about them for months. So go in our backlog, take a little binge, and if you're wondering what our top 3 movies that we watched so far before Thanksgiving weekend were, check out our socials. We posted them on there in case you really want to hit the highlights and you may not have the time to watch all of the new movies. So we're here for you. We're going to tell you what's worth the watch.
It's customer service, and we're going to see if this one might just fit in that category of some of our favorites for the season. What we're going to do is I'll give you the whole plot synopsis, and then we'll have a gold or coal segment where we'll tell you if our bottom line recap might lead you to believe this one is worth the watch. So here is the plot summary, just to give you a high level look of where we're going. This film is about 2 strangers who meet during a holiday layover, fall in love, and then separately try to find one another in Chicago using only the clues they have about each other's Christmas plan. Well, we opened to what looked to me like a snowy castle here, but it's actually, I guess, a really fancy hotel, and it's totally decked out for the holidays. It's really pretty. Our dream couple here, it's Dave and Annie, and if you're familiar with Hallmark stars, it's Reeser and Niall. We've seen both of them on the network before. They both have fan followings. They both have plenty of experience, so we'll see how they do together, Jennifer.
That's right. I was excited to see both of them together.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
They make a good-looking couple. Yeah.
When this movie started, I thought I'd started not at the beginning, because I recorded it, and I was like, I feel like we're just kind of jumping right in. What happened? Because sometimes I watch on Friendly TV a lot, and sometimes it will if it's live that night, it'll start where it's at in real time instead of at the beginning of the recording, which is user error on my part. But that's what I thought had happened. Nay, listener. It just kicks off halfway through the story.
There you go. Yeah, and this couple is clearly in love. He kisses her hand as he boards the elevator. Next morning, she's about to miss her flight because she's trying to track him down. They were supposed to be on the very same flight, and that's how she was going to connect with him and learn more about him. Namely, his last name. She doesn't even know his last name. So she leaves her phone number with the front desk. Meantime, Dave wakes up super late and he has to wind up mobile checking out of the hotel so he doesn't get her number. Now, both of them wind up back in Chicago and they're trying to find each other with some super limited information. Annie gets a call from her friend, and we flash back to their meet cute at the hotel. And I kind of liked, Jennifer, this storytelling device, how, as you said, we kind of started mid-range in their story, and then we go back and learn how this all unfolded. I've not seen Hallmark do anything kind of like this, and it sort of felt, I liked it. It kept me interested. What did you think?
I agree. I thought it was a really interesting way to keep me on my toes. So I enjoyed it because I will say, to show my Christmas cards a little early, there's a lot of talking in this movie. A lot of talking, not a lot of action. So having that backwards, forwards, retelling and all of that, I think kept me more invested than it may have if it was straight run through in chronological order,
Bingo. Meanwhile, the chemistry is palpable between these two. There's another hiccup, however. The hotel's computer system is down when they go to check in because they're on this flight delay. The airline put them up at this fancy schmancy hotel. The computer system is down when they go to check in. There's a whole host of trouble here, so they can't check in. Instead of waiting with nothing to do, maybe in the hotel lobby or going around the corner to a bar to grab a drink or whatever until the computer system's up and running. The hotel sends them to a dessert testing. Hubba what? Weird choice.
Have you ever had a flight delayed so much that you needed to stay overnight?
Yes, it happened on our honeymoon of all things. Yeah.
No.
We were on our way
Okay.
back. Yeah.
My next question, did they put you up at basically the Bobo Ritz-Carlton of
Certainly
hotels?
not. It was the Bobo
I would
Holiday Inn. It's
imagine
more like it.
I would be at the Days Inn or something. I know they said,
Yeah.
a bunch of the ones by the airport are booked, but my gosh, they were living it up. And then they get a dessert tasting, which had like 8 people in attendance. Like, it's a little
Yeah.
sparse at the
It was a
dessert
little like
tasting.
speed dating. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway,
At
so we
bistro
get
tables.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get this flashback and flash forward to present day kind of thing. So back in present day, Annie recruits her friend to help her find Dave. So they're both on this parallel mission to find the other person. Soon enough, she's doing some work at her Chicago job at a fashion designer house, and a pop-up ad for an online gaming platform has her flashing back to this dessert tasting with Dave, which looks like speed dating, as I said. There are big-time flirting vibes between the two of them, and the chemistry seems pretty darn obvious to me. Annie is dream-averse, we learn, so she's not one to sort of take a chance on herself and dream. Dave is all about chasing dreams, so they sort of establish that early on.
Like every finance bro is. What?
Yes. Yeah, exactly, because Dave is a finance bro, Annie is an attorney, and yeah, they fall in love right from go. Anywho, Dave is having fireside s'mores a bit later, but first, you got to stick with me. This jumps all over the place, so just stick with me. Back in real life, Annie is pulling out her design book because she used to have a hobby of sketching fashion designs. Her boss tells her to put it away and come eat shrimp because they're having the big holiday party at her office. Dave is at his folks' house. He's putting up Christmas lights. It turns out his dad has recently died within the past year, and he's taken over the family traditions because this is obviously a plot point that we have to do in Hallmark world. His mom's warning
How many
about
dead dads can we talk about in one Thanksgiving weekend?
Boy.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Stay tuned. We've got several episodes. We'll just see if it's a consistent plot point. Spoiler, it is.
For sure. We could have just had him like, I was thinking about this. I was like, why do they always have to be dead? He could have just like left or something. But I guess
Right?
the whole thing is that he's trying to recreate this romanticized version of what Dad did
Yes.
for Christmas. So I guess if he was a
Yes.
lowlife and left, that wouldn't work. Okay, fine.
Yeah, and he's a
But-
little
But do they always
obsessed
have to be
about all of
dead?
that. I know, it's a
Mm.
lot. We got to ramp up the emotion, and that's how they're doing it here. But Dave is very much obsessed with trying to make Christmas perfect for his family. Mom's warning him about the cold, and that has him flashing back. He and Annie in this flashback are having fireside s'mores at this fancy hotel. Dave admits he's a perfectionist, but says their chance encounter feels really, quote, meant to be. Back in real life, Dave calls a friend to get contact information for a private investigator. That's the route he thinks he's going to go. Annie,
Which is so
meantime,
creepy. Like,
it's a
if it
little
wasn't
creepy.
Hallmark, and if she wasn't interested, or he wasn't interested in her, this would be like a Netflix
So
documentary,
weird.
right? It would not have a happy ending.
Oh,
But we're here
no.
for it because we saw the smolder and we're like, yay, hoo-hoo, love at the holidays.
Exactly. I'm
You
all
just saying
for
a
it.
PI is involved, it doesn't sit too well, but here we are.
Yeah, it's a little icky. Annie is working on some sketches at her place when her friend shows up with coffee and they gab about Dave and his influence. Dave is having dinner with some friends. Now, the PI option was a dead end. Didn't work, was going to cost way too much money. Then he remembers she said a lot about Christmas, and he's going to remember that list of things that she mentioned. She remembers he kind of did the same thing, so they're on parallel missions here to unpack what each other said about Christmas, and maybe there's some clues there about how to find one another. Let's go. Annie's efforts to find Dave's Christmas house because, of course, he really goes over the top with Christmas decorations. Fails big time. It's an old house. Her friend kind of knew where it might be, but it turned out not to be the place. Dave's shopping at a holiday market and sees a drink stand that reminds him of something, and he flashes back to a very romantic barside conversation they had. They do Christmas roses and thorns at the bar side. The banter is capital F flirty. Back in real life, Dave is off to the downtown location of what I surmise is like a hot chocolate business, just to see if by chance Annie is there. Yeah, she isn't, but he leaves his number there. Annie has another idea she pitches to her friend, an app that she hopes will get all of Chicago fired up to find Dave. It's sort of like a misconnections, word of mouth, social media app thing. The results are a bit of a bummer and not exactly what we all want it to be. And Annie's friend tries to be encouraging and points her toward fashion designing and using her work connections to find some mentorship. So the friend's like, don't be too obsessed. You still have to chase your dreams. Annie's kind of opening her eyes to the idea that she actually is talented as a fashion designer. All of that because of Dave's influence in her life for the, 12 hours that they spent together? I don't know.
When you know, you know. Yeah.
When you know, you know. Annie gets some sort of invitation on the app from someone saying he's Dave and wanting to meet her at the hot cocoa place. What? Could this be Dave? She's excited, but this is a dead end. Turns out it's some gal named Courtney who posed as her boss, Dave, to get her to show up to broker a meeting, but this is a big fat fail. It did not work out. I don't know that I needed that
Courtney
scene.
was
It's a little
catfishing
weird.
at first. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. When Courtney walked in, I was like, Dave?
Excuse me? Dave? Yeah. It was
Were you formerly known as Dave? No judgment, just wondering, like, how did we get here?
the Courtney formerly known as Dave. Exactly.
Yeah.
Dave is working on the house Christmas decorations with the family. He's being a little bit over the top, and his family is giving him a moderately hard time about all of it. Annie pulls out her heirloom sewing machine. She had this connection with her grandmother about sewing, and she later chats with her mom about unrealized dreams. Her niece Cora shows up, and there's talk of going to see a choir performance the next day, which has Annie flashing back to her night with Dave, during which he mentioned this very choir performance. Oh, this might be something. So Annie and Cora go off to the show. She spots someone she thinks is him, but it's not. Oops. Annie and Cora go
And
get
the
some
wife
weird...
of that guy, because she was like tapping him on the shoulder.
She was like, excuse me.
The wife was like,
The wife was like, oh no. Oh, no.
who is this? Is this your other girl? Are you getting her a necklace for the holidays? Mm-mm.
Yeah. No. Anyway, they go get some... Annie and Cora do. They go get some weird hot cocoa thing, and Cora tells her there's a second show. Annie didn't know this, so sure enough, she shows up. She's going to scour the crowd, and Dave is there. The doors, however, are locked, so Annie can't get in. A stressed employee loaded down with boxes has her flashing back to the hotel, where Dave and Annie helped a stressed-out hotel worker decorate a ballroom just in time for the season, because they have nothing to do and hearts of gold. And back in real life, she manages to sneak her way into the choir concert just as Dave steps outside. They just miss each other, and I go, ugh, while sitting on my couch. We flash
Yeah,
back.
it was starting to fatigue me at this point because we were, and I know that's the point. I get it.
It is.
But also,
it is
another theme
supposed to
this
do
week
that.
is not just dead dads, but this week we're going to talk about more than one bad security guard. This guy's just letting anybody in the side of this theater for the choir show. In this day and age, no, sir.
No, sir. No, sir. Yeah. We flash back to Annie inviting Dave to Christmas Eve service at her church. Now, it turns out the church is under renovations, we learn, so it might be another misconnection in the making here. Cora is having a holiday recital drama with the costumes, and Annie, bolstered by Dave's confidence in her fashion design skills, steps in to volunteer to save the day. We get a costume sewing montage. Then it's back to Dave where he's decking the halls. But he wound up picking up a tree without the family's knowledge, and this is apparently a cardinal sin in the family. They are, capital M, mad about this. Yeah.
They're not only mad, but the sister's boyfriend, his family tradition is they always go chop down their tree, not just buy it a lot like some, normie. And she really wanted to incorporate his traditions to make him feel like ingratiated in the family. And Niall Mater says, that's fine. I'll take back the tree. Can you do that? Is there a return policy on live trees that I'm unaware of?
I don't think there is.
So he spent money, and just because they're a little bit, like, I get them being like, bro, we were supposed to do this together. I get that. Like, he needs a reality check. He needs to slow it down. But for him to be like, I'll go take this one back so that we can spend more money to chop down another tree. Really? Come on.
Sure.
It irritated me more than it should.
Same.
And I know that.
Same. Anyway, the family, their bottom line message to him is stop doing and start being, which is some Kirkland's wisdom we all need this time of the year. He flashes back in that moment to playing the piano with Annie. So they're in this ballroom that they've gussied up, and there just so happens to be a baby grand piano there. And he, of course, knows how to play the piano. He, turns out, was kind of a musical prodigy of sorts, but backburnered all of that talent. He manages to make the lighting more romantic in the ballroom and turns on a record and dances with Annie, bolstered by the need to just be present, as mentioned by Annie. In real life, they're off to buy a tree at a place called Crannington Farms, which Annie happened to mention during their ballroom decorating sesh. So this could be another chance. So Dave gets to the tree lot. He sees the tree lot guy and he's like, hey, do you know Annie? And he's like, yes, I think I do know Annie. But it turns out the Annie he knows has grown children, and this is certainly not the Annie that Dave is looking for. But as the camera pans away from Dave, we see Annie in the background. She's there with Cora visiting Santa. Is this all finally going to happen at the Christmas tree lot? No. Of course not. Annie, swing and a miss. So many swings and misses in this one. Annie's helping with the costumes, and she's a hit with the kid cast and their parents. She did a great job, of course. Dave's decorating the tree with the family, and he learns his sister is getting proposed to tomorrow. Okay. Mom compliments Dave on the joy he's found, and we flash back to the scene we saw at the very beginning of this movie, the one with the elevator. Instead of it ending, however, with him getting on the elevator and the elevator door closing, we see him sort of stick his hand out as it's closing so that it opens back up, and he swoops in and offers Annie quite a kiss. How would you rate this kiss?
It was fiery.
It was spicy. Yeah.
Elevator alarms would be going off. And he risked his life and limb to put his hand there to stop the elevator door. Because let me tell you, those doors don't care. I have recently been guilty of using a baby in the stroller to try to prop it open and then realizing after, sorry baby.
Sorry baby.
It was but those doors don't care. And so
they do not.
He was going to risk it all for love.
Of course. Why wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you? Yeah. We're back in Chicago, and they're both lovesick and insistent on finding one another. There's more sewing, and surprise, Annie is a natural. Her friend encourages her to take a shot at it. She's listening to the radio, and the DJ offers up a Christmas greeting, and Annie has another idea. So she takes a stab, and she calls the radio station to see if they'll read a message about her love for Dave. Dave's like wandering Delilah with friends, like Delilah, very Delilah, like a misconnection. Goes out to
Dave in finance.
Exactly. Yeah. Dave, you work in finance, and I'm an attorney, and we had a misconnection. Why don't you connect with me this holiday
at the elevator?
Season? I don't know. Yeah, something like that. Dave's wandering with his friends and sees an old church, and he wonders if this could be the one where they have Christmas Eve services and sing Silent Night, because of course, Jennifer, they only do that at one church. Folks, they do that at every church, everywhere on Christmas Eve. That is not a defining characteristic. That's
No,
every
I've been to
church.
many a Christmas Eve service.
Every
And they
time.
all close it out with the candlelight silent night. And I love it. It's usually my favorite part of the service. So no shade to that or our Lord and
No
Savior
shade.
Jesus Christ, the reason for the season. But for him to say, are you the one, the one church in what, all of Chicago? Is that where they're at?
Yeah, all of
Silent
Chicago.
night
The
as
one
the
church.
candlelight. And the
Nope.
choir lady was like, we don't have the programming yet. What?
What? Who wrote that? Weird
Huh?
choice.
And
Weird
I didn't
choice.
understand. She was like, well, we usually do, but we might be changing it up this year. She acted like she'd never heard of it. I don't know.
Never heard of it. I don't
maybe
know. Silent
we
Night.
might be
How
doing
does
Run
that
Run
go?
Rudolph this week.
How does that go?
Who knows?
Up on the
Yeah.
housetop.
Silent who? It's bonkers. That was the most
Bonkers.
bonkers thing in the whole movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Dave's friend stops by Annie's friend's booth at the market. Okay, this is important here. So Dave's friend, this woman, stops by Annie's friend's booth at the market and buys soaps and just so happens to spot Annie's handmade dress on display. And she's all like, what is that? I gotta have it. So she buys the dress. So again, important plot point here. Dave's friend buys Annie's dress being sold by Annie's friend at the holiday market. I told you at the onset this was complicated. So dear listener, you're doing a great job. We're going to land the plane here. Stick with us. We're at the big Christmas recital and the costumes are a mega hit here. Dave just happens to be there because the friend's daughter is in this performance as well. And he sees Annie. And he thinks he's crazy and hallucinating because he thinks he's just so obsessed and in his mind about Annie that he's now hallucinating her. Meantime, Annie's radio station effort doesn't work either. So both of them are in their doubts about the prospect of finding the other. And this is, I guess, the oopsie doodle here. They're both kind of having this moment where they're doubting. Yeah, it was kind of
Well, they're kind of running out of clues. I mean, they really only talked about Christmas because they met for a few hours, like you said, around Christmas, and so they don't have a whole lot of additional information to go off of.
No.
Knowing these specific things are leading to dead ends, then what do you do except every now and then continue to Google them or look on social media?
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame them for being a little ho-hum at this point in the movie.
No, yeah. Dave and his mom are waiting for the proposal to happen on a park bench. They have this really sweet conversation about missing his dad. The proposal goes off without a hitch, and Dave is surprisingly cool about it. So that is his big character growth throughout the whole movie here. He really has sort of embraced living in the moment in some new ways. At work the next day, Annie pitches her designs to her boss. This is her character growth as well. The boss is lovely about the whole thing and now wants to mentor her. Now, as she's on the way home, she's listening to the radio, and that radio DJ reads her message for Dave. And in that message, she says, hey, meet me in front of the tree in the holiday market at 6 p.m. And so the next thing we know, we see her in front of the tree at 6 p.m. He doesn't get the message. So she's off to church. It's Christmas Eve. She's going to go do the thing at church and sing Silent Night at the one church in Chicago that does that by candlelight at the end. Dave is at his friend's Christmas Eve party and recounting the romance. He's basically giving a speech to everybody in attendance at this friend's party. Very
so weird, right?
Very transparent about everything. I mean, he's just laying it all out there like it's, I met a celebrity.
These people are like, I thought I was going to rock around the Christmas tree. I don't really want to hear about your romantic issues right now, bro.
Big downer.
Bring down the mood of the party.
Big downer. Yeah. The thing, however, turns around when he spots his friend, the woman who bought the dress. She's wearing the dress, and Dave immediately recognizes it as Annie's design. Where'd you get the dress? So he finds out. And then he's off to the holiday market to see if he can find that best friend and get to Annie. He gets there, and they are literally turning off lights. Like, it's over. All hope is lost. But just then, he hears Silent Night. Like a soft version, presumably by candlelight, being sung by a church that just happens to be steps from the holiday market. Sure enough,
What are the
Yeah,
odds?
sure enough, he walks into the church. He's got a candle, so he's able to presumably get one from an usher and get the thing lit. He sits down in a pew, and what do you know? He is sitting right behind her. You know, the service ends. The pastor says, everyone stand up. They kind of do the obligatory meet and greet. Tell your neighbor Merry Christmas. And so
Oh,
they,
I hate the meet and greets, though.
I
Oh, it's
hate the
so
meet and
awkward.
greet. I'm
Especially with
not
a,
one for.
a lit candle. I don't want some bubba,
Yeah.
like, risking, like, catching my hair
No.
on fire if I use hairspray,
No.
you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
So they kind of say hello to the people on their outside and then turn toward one another. And it's the moment. And they are both gobsmacked. Yeah. They leave the church service immediately. They go out and have some pretty satisfying banter on the church's front stoop. Deliver maybe one of the best Hallmark kisses I've seen in this kind of a circumstance. I thought it was pretty smoldery. And the camera pans up to the falling snow as we fade to black.
It's time for gold or coal.
Okay, it is time for our well-loved gold or coal segment. If you're here for the first time, here's what we do. Josh and I each bring 3 gifts to the podcast, and if there's more gold, it's destined to be. And if there's more coal, this time it's a missed connection. And if it's a tie, which sometimes happens, it's just going to be a meh. Merry Christmas. Josh, I'm coming to you first. What stood out to you about this movie, good, bad, or otherwise?
So I'm going to give some gold. I liked the leads here. I thought Autumn and Niall did a really good job of bringing their roles to life. These are roles that could have been stereotypical and flat. You know, it could have been a flat finance guy, and it could have been a career-driven attorney who didn't want to dream big. But I thought that they brought a good amount of heart to the roles and really warmed them up in a way that made them, I think, more three-dimensional. And I liked that for that reason. So gold.
I agree. I will give some gold similar to that. Their connection was steamy. Steamier than we usually get, honestly. I'm trying to think of the last steamy connection like this. And it was the Catch Me If You Claws was steamy from a couple years ago. That's the last like real steam session I remember. Oh no, last year the Santa class had Kimberly Sested and Benjamin Ayers making out in the car. That was pretty
That
steamy.
was
too.
steamy.
So
Mhm.
about once a year we get a real steamy connection, and we got a lot of season left, but right now they're the steamiest. So stay tuned.
Yeah. You know, I made that comment about the kiss on the church stoop. And normally, if I say something and you don't agree with it, I can tell on your face. But you didn't make a face, which led me to believe that you kind of agreed that it was a steamy kiss. So I'm glad.
super
I'm starting
steamy.
to identify them. I am going to give some gold. I
Our 4th
liked.
season, you can finally tell what my face is doing.
It's just taken me some time. I'm going to
God
give
help my
some
husband.
gold. Yeah, I know, right? I'm going to give some gold. I liked this storytelling device at the end of the day. And I think what you said early on is so true. If this would have been an A to B to C to D, I think this would have been a snooze fest for me. But I kind of liked the way they interspersed the meet cute throughout. So we got all of it, but we had to stay to the end to see how it all kind of came together. And I liked that as a storytelling device. So I'll give some gold for that.
Agreed. I will give some gold. I like Niall's quest for the perfect Christmas. I think it was very sweet and funny, and it came from a good place. Although I will still say this is not cold, but criticism. Taking the tree back is pure insanity. Nobody should do that in their right mind. But like him going the extra mile to try to recreate this Christmas magic, I identify with that, and I thought it was really sweet. And yeah, gold.
Cool. I will give some coal. This was a little bit sleepy at parts for me, and I think that's just this kind of a movie, right? This is a slower paced, really emphasis on the rom side of a rom-com Hallmark movie. Not a whole lot of com here. This is more rom than anything. They do a great job with the rom. It's a little slow in points and a lot of walkie-talkie, you know? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think that with everything else we've seen this season, I think that you can find a balance between the romance, the comedy, and a little bit of action. And this could have done to maybe have a little bit of action.
You took mine, and now I don't know what else to say because I was going to say the same thing. It definitely was a little sleepy. It's not boring. It's just
No.
slow. It's not boring. I
Mm-hmm.
was not bored. So don't hear what I'm not saying. It was not boring. But it was like, even in you retelling it, so there were a couple scenes I kind of forgot about, and I watched the whole thing. But like, I kind of stopped caring at one point about another misconnect. Like, I feel like it was like maybe one or two misconnections too long. Maybe that's my
Mm-hmm.
call. It could have been concise a little bit more because, yeah, it was a little fatiguing after a little bit of it.
Yeah.
So I'll
I
give it
mean,
a goal there.
a couple of times you're like, oh man, but then by the time it's the sixth or seventh misconnection, you're like, okay, we get it. Like, let's move it along. Yeah. This felt to me very older Hallmark. You know, this isn't kind of where
Mm-hmm.
we see the network going with a lot of the newer stories and newer plots. What do you think?
I agree, but even though I gave it a piece of coal, I really did enjoy it. I kind of liked that
Same.
part of it.
Yeah.
And I am all about the zany, crazy, funny movies. That's my go-to. That's what I will choose to watch again and again. But I don't know that I would have watched this movie if we hadn't randomly drafted it this season, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad I did watch it. It was very old school Hallmark. It was very like Hallmark. What was what they used to call the old movies, like the penultimate movie of the season, like the Christmas Train and all that. A Gold Crown movie? No, what was
Mm-hmm.
it? They had a name for it, and it was like one that was really, they put all their eggs in the basket, and it was really well
Hallmark
done,
Hall of Fame.
very moving. Hall of Fame,
Those.
thank you.
Yeah.
My
Mm-hmm.
brain was not working. This is like reminiscent of Hallmark Hall of Fame to me. So
Yeah.
I really
No,
did
I
enjoy
agree.
it. I was afraid. I'd seen some of the comments online, and it had me scared. People were not into it. I
No.
didn't think it deserved that. I liked it a lot.
No, I
It's
liked it a
not one
lot
that I
too.
will choose to watch again personally. Doesn't mean it's a bad
Mm-hmm.
movie.
Yeah. We put this out on our social media and had some good comments about this. A Day in the Life of Netters said, we met in December, was absolutely fabulous. Totally agree. And we would love to hear from you if you have any thoughts about what you think about this one. At the end of the day, we had 4 pieces of gold, 2 pieces of coal. So we think it's worth the watch. Certainly worth your consideration. I think this is a great movie if you want to have a quiet, romantic night in with your significant other. What do you think?
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good date night movie
It's a
without,
good date night movie.
you
Yes.
know, without being so. It wasn't overly cheesy either. You're right. It was heavy on the
Mm-mm.
rom, but it wasn't super cheesy cliche. It was a different premise, and I loved that about it. So check it out.
Sounds good. Check it out. And that, dear friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch? Hey, thank you so much for joining us. And a special thanks to Nick Shores for our amazing theme song and to each and every one of you for joining us here during the holiday season.
That's right. Hey, guys, the time has come. On our next episode, we are going to be talking about, drumroll please, Hallmark's new 2025 Countdown to Christmas movie premiering at the top spot on Saturday night after Thanksgiving, Grand Ole Opry Christmas. Here is the plot summary from IMDb to get you excited, because a lot of people online didn't know what this movie was about and had thoughts about it. So here it is.
Hmm.
Gentry Wade, played by Nikki DeLoach, who gave up music after her father's death decades ago, must confront her past when Nashville's Grand Ole Opry invites her to honor her late country star dad at their Christmas celebration. Guys, you know we're going to have much to discuss. Was I seen on film as an extra? Come back for the next episode of Do You Watch What I Watch? Subscribe, do all the things. How's that for a tease? And until then,
May your days be merry and bright. We are waiting with bated breath. We'll see you next time, guys.